So let's take a little bit of a closer look at this hexagon. The hexagon splits the circle in half, and in half again, and in half another way. This is a great way to share a pizza between 6 people. Each one would get a wedge that's this size and shape. But let's take a closer look at that wedge. I know I had an equilateral triangle here, which means that this curve here, the crust on the pizza wedge, must be longer than this side, whose length is the same as the radius, since we have an equilateral triangle here. So this is the size of angle we're talking about if you want to divide your pizza between 6 people. But I might think, what if I wanted the length of my crust to be the same as the length of the pizza edge? And it's not entirely clear why I would care about such a thing, but we'll make that clear. I know I would want an angle that's a little bit smaller than 60 degrees right here if I want to have the length of this crust be the same as the length of the edge of the pizza. So let's see how we would do that. Start with a point, then choose a radius, and use that radius to sweep out a whole circle. These are all the same distance from the radius. There's the radius r. Now let's pop that radius outside the circle like this, and bend it down onto the pizza crust like that, onto the circle. So this angle right here has the same length of crust as it has of edge. We call that 1 radian. If I have 2 radians, it's a little less than 120 degrees. 3 is a little less than 180. But pi radians is exactly half the circle. So to have a whole circle, we would need to have not pi radians, but 2 pi radians. And that's how we define the radian. Taking a closer look at this angle that we call a radian, this angle right here, we know that that angle has this property that we've taken 360 degrees and divided it by 2 pi. Because we're saying when we go all the way around, the length of that circumference is 2 pi. 2 pi what? 2 pi times the radius. And we're taking an angle that is 1/2 pi of that total. So if you had 2 pi friends, 6.28-ish friends, this is the size of pizza slice that each of them would get. And that works out to be approximately 57 degrees plus a little bit. So why is this kind of angle measure really useful? Well, when I want to know the arc length of this arc, it's very convenient. This arc length s is just equal to the radius times the angle, as long as that angle is measured in radians. This is really physically useful because suppose I have a rolling wheel. If the wheel is rolling along, let's suppose I wound ribbon around my wheel before I roll it out, and then I roll it, the ribbon is going to unroll behind it here. And how much ribbon has unrolled would tell me how far the wheel has traveled, as this wheel's traveling this way. So I can tell that the distance the wheel travels, if I use radians, is just going to be the radius of the wheel times the angle in radians. And that makes this a very convenient measure of angle if the thing I'm interested in is the motion of the wheel as it rolls.